who shot himself in the foot intentionally so that he could get discharged from the military and go back to civilian orchestra life. Well, today I want to tell you about a British composer by the name of Malcolm Arnold. Malcolm was born in 1921 in Northampton, England, into a very musical family. He at one point heard Louis Armstrong, was very inspired, and took up trumpet playing. When he was just 16 years old, he earned a full scholarship to the Royal College of Music in London for both trumpet playing, but also for composition. He was good. He was very good. And by the time he was only 18, he was one of the best brass players in the country. And when he was only 18, he actually started working and gained a full-time position in the London Philharmonic Orchestra. His early adulthood was shaped by the Second World War. So he goes ahead and joins the orchestra for wartime performances to help the military and all that to stay up. And then later he volunteers in the army. This is not a good thing. Of course, it's not good for anybody to be in the army in the wartime, but he experiences some very traumatic things there. And on top of that, he loses his brother as well. His mental state is completely obliterated, and he ends up shooting himself in the foot because he can no longer do it. And he does that and then goes back and starts performing again in orchestra. These experiences, of course, shaped him deeply for the rest of his life, and we are going to hear that in his music. After the war, he left performing. He left the orchestra to focus fully on composition. He quickly became one of the most in-demand film composers, like a score composer, in Britain. His music was so vivid, it was so dramatic, it was also instantly memorable. Over his career, guys, he wrote scores for more than 100 movies. That's a lot. He won an Oscar for one of them called The Bridge on the River Kwai. He did a bunch of them. He had this innate ability to match this music perfectly to each character. And he was a great storyteller through his music. Many film score composers now do that too. But unlike many film score composers at the time, he had just as strong of a voice in a concert hall. Arnold wrote a total of 9 symphonies, and as we hear them, there are these powerful musical, really autobiographical pieces. So the first ones that he writes when he's still young, they're filled with humor and with lots of energy. But as these series progress, as we write more and more symphonies, they start growing darker. They're brutally honest, and they're like these reflections of his inner life is what we're hearing. They confront his mental illness, they confront grief and anger, but also resilience and hope. Some of his most famous pieces are called these fantasy pieces, and they are really for young musicians. That's why, and it helped generations of students fall in love with classical music. He himself said, quote, "Music is the social act of communication among people." I agree wholeheartedly. While his music often is radiating with joy, his personal life was deeply troubled. He battled severe depression all throughout his life, anxiety. He self-medicated with alcohol. His health declined, because of all this. His marriages suffered. There were periods where he was just simply unable to work. Because of these struggles, critics sometimes just dismissed him, believing that his talent had faded. But it wasn't that his talent faded. He was just really struggling with life in general. By the 1980s, things were not looking good, and he could no longer take care of himself. And he had it because his illnesses got so bad, and so he had to live under care. But he slowly found his way back, and he started composing again, and he had a new enjoyment for music and what it brought and what it meant to him later on in life. And so then he received numerous awards, including he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth in 1993 and became recognized not only as a great craftsman, but also a deeply human artist. Some of the best composers, and many of the ones I've talked about, they're just reflecting the truth of what's inside of them, but it's really what connects all of us. Shortly before his 85th birthday in 2006, Arnold passed away. leaving us great music and such truth and honesty in them. He proved that music can contain every part of the human experience, that we can have laughter and dance and also rage and loneliness and love and hope. And his work reminds us that the composers are not these distant weird icons this on a table. They're just people that deeply feel, but they communicate through sound. So he gave us music that entertains, music that speaks the truth, and music that just keeps us listening, even if our emotions are difficult. Now go and listen to some Malcolm Arnold.